Now, if you know me, you know that I am not normally a big fan of prequels because more often than not, they seem more interested in answering questions that the audience didn't have rather than actually expanding on the story in a clever way. This film is no exception because it confirms that holy shit, Mrs. Bates was a fucking MILF. What is going on, everyone, and welcome to my review of Psycho 4 The Beginning. We are nearly there, nearly at the release of Longlegs. I cannot wait to see this film. I can't wait to see Nicolas Cage. I can't wait to see what Oz Perkins can do behind the camera because his father was such a talented actor. We are this close to this film coming out and I cannot wait. No, we're not. I'm recording this video like 6 weeks in advance prior to Longlegs' release, so we're not really close at all, but by the time you see this, the film will be just around the corner, so let's pretend like it's just around the corner. So Psycho 4 The Beginning tells the story of Norman Bates as a youngster. He hears a radio show where they're discussing the topic of matricide, and Norman decides to call in under a false name to tell his story. So this film stars CCH Pounder as Fran Ambrose, the radio presenter, Anthony Perkins as Norman Bates, Olivia Hussey as Norma Bates, and Henry Thomas as young Norman Bates. Now, this is one of those films that I had never heard anything about. I actually didn't even know this film existed until quite recently. And that's because it was a made-for-TV film directed by Mick Garris. And Mick Garris is an interesting director. I guess, I don't even know how to describe him. He almost feels more like a fan of horror than an actual artist or creator, but that's not fair because his adaptation of The Stand was really, really good. A really, really well-paced, well-acted, for the most part, miniseries that is certainly dated in parts, but it's really, really good. But then you get things that he's done like this, or like Sleepwalkers and stuff like that. He's not... You feel more passion from him than actual talent, which is really strange. So when I heard that his name was attached, I was interested. And quite honestly, it's exactly what you'd expect a Mick Garris television movie to be. Now, I will say that this film is not terrible. It's a lot better than most slasher sequels. That's a very low bar, but I do see people say, yeah, well, it's better than most slasher sequels, but it is, truthfully, it is better than films like, The New Blood or Jason Takes Manhattan or Curse of Michael Myers. It is better than those films. It's just that it's still not that great in its own respects, but there are some good parts to it. So first of all, obviously, I think Anthony Perkins is terrific in the role. He doesn't really have that much to do. He's mostly just on the phone telling his backstory to CCH Pounder, and he's still got that kind of same charm about him, the same awkwardness and quirkiness. He says some things that are kind of strange. He's definitely still very good in the role of Norman. I think they did a pretty good job at changing the look of the house from the beginning part, like when you go back in time, the house is all, young and fresh and new. I think it looks really good. And then you got the part, the sequel part of this film where you go to the house and it's really old and run down and ragged. They did a good job at taking the same location and tweaking it a lot to fit the time of the film. I think that was very well done. I think Olivia Hussey was terrific in the role of Norman's mother. I think that her dialogue let her down, but when she's supposed to be unhinged and crazy, she definitely delivers. She has the kind of twinkle in her eye, and she's a really kind of undersung horror actress. She's very good in a lot of things, especially Black Christmas. She was very good in that, and she's good as Norma Bates, but it's just that her dialogue let her down. When she's saying things like, "You need to go do wee-wee!" It's just like, what the fuck are you talking about? But with all that being said, this film is exactly what you would expect it to be. It is a Mick Garris television film that has Henry Thomas playing Norman Bates. It answers a lot of questions that the audience didn't have. It creates new questions that we didn't want to ask. And it does nothing to enhance the story. It's quite that simple. It's literally, you see Norman when he's younger getting pissed off that his parents or his mum has gotten a new boyfriend. You see him start to kill people. You get some weird stuff that it turns out that Norma was the one forcing him to dress up as a girl, which doesn't make sense in the context of the story because he's not dressing up as a girl because his mother told him to. He's dressing up as a girl to try and keep his mother's image alive. It doesn't make sense in that regard. There's some other things that don't make sense too. For example, in the original film, Norman says that Norma's new boyfriend convinced her to building the hotel on the highway. And in this film, the hotel is already built before the new boyfriend comes. So it's just really bizarre. It just makes everything not work. It makes things not make sense. It doesn't answer any questions that you had. And also, in the present storyline, you find out that Norman is married to his psychologist, or his psychiatrist that he went and saw. What? In what fucking world would a psychiatrist see a man convicted of matricide and multiple other murders and think, oh, I'd like to fuck him? What? What is going on? So Psycho for the beginning, in the end, I don't have a lot to say on this film because there is not really that much to talk about with this film. It is perfectly watchable. It is competently made for the most part. It's better than a lot of slasher sequels. It has no reason to exist, and it does nothing to enhance the original story, and in about a week's time I will have forgotten everything about this film. So Psycho for the beginning, it's just a snooze fest. That is my review of Psycho for the beginning. Let me know what you think of this film in the comments. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe so you don't miss anything else, and check out all my other Psycho reviews, and look forward to the complete debacle that is the 1998 remake that I'll be reviewing very shortly. So I'll see you all later. Bye.